What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. Right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs like the founders of P90X, Atari, and many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Our sponsor today is Rise 25, which helps service professionals, doctors, lawyers, accountants, dentists, coaches, you name it, stop just trading time for dollars and shift from a one-to-one client work to a one-to-many. Rise 25 is an exclusive accountability and group coaching program, and who want to scale up, and it's run by myself and by my co-founder, John Corcoran. We bring together like-minded entrepreneurs from different client-serving backgrounds. A lot of times people love, Ben, we have a dream product ladder, which is a download on our Rise 25 site, and it basically helps any business kind of design their business on one sheet of paper and see untapped revenue potential there. So a lot of people go there, download your free dream product ladder. And I am excited to introduce today's guest. We have Ben Arneberg, and he co-founded two quickly growing seven-figure e-commerce companies, Willow and Everett and CubeFit. And what's even more impressive, Ben, as you know, because you live this, but he did this all by while he was working full-time in the United States Air Force, helping to develop some cutting-edge space technology. So, Ben, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks so much, Jeremy. It's a pleasure to be here.
So obviously there needs to be that game plan. So are there certain levers to get the traffic to Amazon, or is it just a simple thing like making sure it's the buy now is going over to Amazon? What things should someone be thinking about doing?
So great question. I actually wrote a blog post on that. The only blog post on Product Fuel that I have written so far because I got way too busy. But I kind of talked about like the top 7 steps you should do when trying to go from an awesome Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign to Amazon. And yeah, it's several, simple steps like taking advantage of the social proof by having your Amazon listing really tell people like, hey, this thing did great on Kickstarter, having your video up, redirecting your link on the Kickstarter page to either Amazon or a landing page where you then shoot people in the coupon. And then it's targeting keywords, because at the end of the day, Amazon only works if you can get your product ranking for those extremely high volume keywords. Right. So it doesn't work for all products, but if your product is a fit, there can be massive opportunity. Yeah.
I mean, you point out two things on the post, which is we don't really know the algorithm, but I mean, reviews are huge, right, with ranking, and then sales velocity is huge, and product ranking keywords. So the two you mentioned, which probably people don't think about doing, is emailing all your backers and having them leave a review on Amazon, right? That's big.
Yeah, so there's a company right now I'm helping. They're called Wilcox Boots. Amazing boots. They just did this Kickstarter campaign, or not just, but like a year or so ago. It went really well, and we had them send out an email to their backers. They got 150 reviews in like one day. Amazing, and everyone loves the product. So instant social proof from that. So that's again why I love this Kickstarter to Amazon or to your store. Because it's
low-hanging fruit that they would not have some people wouldn't even think of, that produces huge results for them. And it just means writing one email.
Right. Yep. So, exactly.
Yeah. So check it out, productfuel.io, and then it's like top 5 secrets to a successfully sell your crowdfunding product on Amazon. So Ben, we talked about researching products, and especially for Kickstarter. What about, do you do it differently than if it's just launching on your site in Amazon than Kickstarter? Because you do the Google Trends, you do the Amazon sales, you do some testing in ads. Is there a different process for if you're just launching it on your site in Amazon than Kickstarter, or is it the same?
Different launch process or validation?
Yeah, different validation process for new product. Because not every product you release on Kickstarter, some you're just releasing on Amazon yourself.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So I think for Kickstarter, does it have you're kind of looking for that a little bit of a wow factor. Like, is it instant gratification? Like someone's like seasoned. Like, I love that, because some of our products are a little more utilitarian and boring, and I just know it would not do well at all on Kickstarter. But it's still validated because we can still see strong demand and we know it's a better product, that we'll launch it.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of where like the art, to the science counterpart comes in, is you kind of gotta give your best guess and use some intuition. And sometimes we're still wrong, but that's why you do the validation, because at the end of the day, it's all about, is it the right product or not? You can do all the right steps, but it's either the right product or it's not.
Talk about launching. So I know you have like a 72-step process for launching. What are some of the most important things when launching a product?
Sure. Yeah. And a lot of that is following our best practices is just, as far as just like ensuring product quality, dealing with all the logistics, the inspections, and then once it's getting ready to actually go live, on our website and on Amazon. But we have our own kind of VIP group that we'll give the product to start kind of testing out, getting feedback on it. And then it's also important on Amazon specifically to get a lot of initial exposure quickly. So we'll use some launch sites that can kind of help get our product out there for lower price, but then it can really help it climb the keyword rankings fast. And then it's, just trying to drive as much traffic as you can. So we're driving it from our own list, from our Facebook page, from other people's launch services, and then turning on Amazon ads and just trying to send as much to the listing at once as you can. But on top of that, you need to make sure that you're in a highly converting state. So you need to have amazing images, good copy, all the, basic e-commerce stuff, doing really good keyword research to know what you even care about.
What was the biggest mistake you were making? I mean, there's a long list now, but when you were you've built this out over time. What's the biggest mistake you were making and you feel other people are making that when you changed made the biggest difference? Like, I don't know, I'm not saying it is, but like, for example, like actually just putting high quality images and images that are people using the product as opposed to just the product.
Yeah.
So what have been the biggest levers as far as the mistakes you were making, and once you put it in place, it produced the most results for you? Yeah,
that's a really good question. I'd say, maybe one of the big ones actually is, I think a lot of people overlook images. Like, retail is changing rapidly. A lot of stores are going bankrupt, and just the whole nature of commerce is shifting. But there's something a lot different about buying it on your computer than going to the store and be able to interact with it, turn it around. So what people forget is like the customer wants to know, like, how does this product actually work? What does it look like? So what we found is, and this has been developing over time, but by putting as many lifestyle images as possible and just really helping try to bring the customer into like the story of like, how is your product being used? What are the different, features? Like, for example, one of our teapots, we'll show it steeping in the tea. We'll show it, maybe being microwaved at one point, showing kind of the different like ways that you can use it, having a really attractive model, pouring it with their friends, just trying to tie the consumer into that story. We find that really helps conversions and makes someone a lot more likely to buy versus 7 different images, that just show it from various angles on a white background. Like, that doesn't really help the consumer in any way.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's, I guess, a lot of other tips I could think of, but that's maybe one of the big ones that I think kind of gets overlooked. And a lot of people don't want to spend money on images because it does cost a lot, but it's just an investment that pays dividends if you do it right. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've seen you guys do on your site is just the animated GIF that most people aren't doing. I mean, even the Kickstarter, the TerraMat example, like, if you said, calf stretch, I'm like, okay, cool, calf stretch. But then if you show like an animated GIF of someone actually doing a calf stretch, it means so much more. It's so much better. Yeah. Yeah. So I love that you guys do that. It's in demo. Yeah. Yep. And same with, video, very beneficial as well. So Ben, we talked a lot about, I think for productfuel.io, I'm going to put my vote in iteration. What's interesting is, as a veteran, someone, it's really interesting how people transitioning after their service. What do they do? You know what I mean? There's probably a big population of like, they're not sure, like transitioning into civilianhood or whatever you call it. It's interesting. Probably a lot of those people have ideas. It's like you could even get so far in niching down into helping those people who have product ideas while they're in service, develop them so when they get out, they have like a sustainable business waiting for them. So I don't know. I think about that for your productfuel.io as a really niched service. You know what I mean? That's I really like that idea, because I am passionate about helping other vets, and there are a few services that do that. But I think to really help empower the inventor. So think about that for a second. I was just thinking,
And I want to talk about, I know we have a couple minutes, you have another meeting coming up, but I don't like to leave it just on the up. I like to hear about some of the challenges, you know what I mean? Because the reality is there's ups and downs to this. What have been some of the challenges or the down pieces?
Yeah. I mean, definitely been a lot of those. Entrepreneurship's a roller coaster, and I think it's trying to not get too far down when things aren't going well. So,
what's been I guess I like to end it in Inspired Insider with what's been a low moment business wise, and then what's been a super proud moment for you.
Yeah. So I think a low moment is, or just a difficulty is having so much going on that you start feeling burned out, or like you can do all the systemizing you want, but it's a constant process. And right now I've a little bit off a little too much that I can chew. We actually launched a third business, kind of replicating some of what we're doing, but I'm starting to feel kind of like split between too many different things. I'm wanting to, I think, prune some of that down. And then I think as you do that, you start to, I know sometimes I'll just be a little short with people, or just like feeling from the pressure, impatient, and so I think it's kind of trying to deal with, the quote busyness, and the one thing says you need to embrace the chaos that ensues by just doing your major things, because then there's going to a lot of be little stuff that's kind of floating out there, like, oh, I didn't clear out my inbox today. Not the end of the world if you don't do that, but I still feel that pressure as a perfectionist to get it done.
You feel like sometimes it's leaked into your personal or social situations.
Fantastic point. Yep, I'm really trying hard right now to kind of keep it compartmentalized. Like when I go home, at 6 from the WeWork, I'm leaving work behind. I'm not talking about it, and I'm really trying to do a better job with that on weekends, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs that reach into their life. It's done that to me for the last 6 months to a year, and I'm kind of done with it. So yeah.
Yeah, I wish we had more time, because I want to hear, because your spouse is obviously part of the business, so that's even harder to cut out.
Yeah, I can actually, my next meeting, I can be like 10 minutes late. So we can keep chatting if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. Because then it's like, okay, how do you even shut things off? And how do your spouse is part of the business? That's, I would think, really tough to navigate. So if you need to send a message, go ahead and do your thing. But I'd love to explore that a little bit, because I'm sure people have family or friends or spouses in the business with them, and how you navigate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's awesome being able to do it with your spouse on one hand, because you're doing this together. You know each other really well. We happen to complement each other in a lot of ways in the business. She's good at things I'm terrible at, and vice versa. But it's also a big challenge, because now, for a while actually I was kind of giving her tasks, almost like I had a Trello board, and I was putting cards on her board, and I quickly learned that is a really bad idea to treat your wife like an employee. Learn the hard way. But
what did she say?
Was just like, she was just, I can tell, just like kind of getting, upset that I was telling her what to do, and then would just be like super late on deadlines. And, there's just a lot of stress from that. And I had this moment where I was like, this is not like, it's not even worth having a business that's going to succeed if it means your marriage is going to suffer. And so we ended up hiring a marketing manager that I could then, treat as an employee, and then allow her to do what she wanted. But I think it's important to have clear.
You just called the marketing manager, like, put this on her Trello board. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no.
So she'll let you, not me.
No, yeah, he does her task now that I was giving her. Yeah, that would be fun. You have someone else do it, because then she won't say no.
Look, I just hired a person to put stuff on her Trello board. That's it.
Can't get mad at her. Yeah. But I think what we're really trying to do, and I know you think about this a lot, is how can you have a healthy marriage while running the businesses. Is I'm trying to keep things very compartmented. So if we go out, I'm trying to have one awesome date night a week where we don't talk about business or problem solve. Trying to not talk about business on weekends. But it's a work in progress, and I kind of had my eyes open up even just a few months ago, where I was just so busy, in survival mode, so to speak, running these businesses while being in the Air Force. Finally got out of the Air Force, had breathing room, but found out all my habits had been established at that point. It's like, oh crap! So I kind of had like a rude awakening, and thankfully my wife was very gracious, but kind of helped me understand, like, hey, you were like being way too consumed by these businesses. And we, something I actually would highly recommend is see a marriage counselor. Like, I don't think there's no shame in that. I think it's very healthy, and I think it should be a regular part of people's lives to see a counselor, because they find things that you don't know about. You know, we all have blind spots. So we've done that a few times. That's incredibly life-giving. Build a talk.
What did you learn from that?
Oh man, I learned I learned a lot. I learned that I can be I can be selfish, and I learned that you know, I think I was making this excuse for like, oh, I gotta provide for the family, I gotta provide for us, but was kind of just using that to fuel my own ambition and taking a step back. It's like, okay, you know, God's blessed us to the point where we're doing this full time. We can, you know, have more than enough money to eat, you know, buy a house, etc. Now I'm just kind of pursuing a number like, oh, 7 figures isn't enough. Let's go for 8 figures. Let's go for, you know, and it's like, that's not worth it. You know, like if you just pursue success for success sake, like it's so empty. So it kind of helped me realize like, that's what I was doing. Like I was no longer just trying to provide for a family. I was just on a runaway, you know, success rant, I guess you could say. So, yeah, that was pretty huge.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. We'll let your wife hear that so she knows you're selfish and you get extra points for admitting that. Yes, Lee, I'm selfish too. My wife is a clinical psychologist, so yes, you know, there is a lot of time and place for people to get the seek, and it makes perfect sense. Like people have business coaches, then oftentimes we don't do coaching for some of our relationships. You know,
and actually, on that note, what I'll say too is, what I find is if I'm constantly filling my head with business this, business that, then that's all I think about. And part of the shift has been like, hey, I'm going to start also learning about like how do you become an awesome husband? How do you have an awesome marriage? Because it does take work, and just like, you know, building a business, you kind of have to build your marriage. So at least put some thought into it. You can't just expect it to happen. You know, but I didn't realize that until the last, you know, few months really concretely. So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Ben, because that's obviously very personal. So on the last question, Ben, what's been one of the proudest moments so far for you?
So I'm actually trying to work on not being prideful. So, dangerous question. No, so I guess what I'll say is maybe I'll say grateful moments.
Okay, grateful. Grateful is good.
But I'm really grateful, and I guess, you know, proud of the hard work that my wife did, I did, and then our team at Willow and Everett to kind of take this dream of, you know, after Hilo and everything, and I was just discouraged, but I loved entrepreneurship and, you know, really wanting to do it full time, and, you know, praying like, God, would you let me be a full-time entrepreneur? And then, you know, he answered it, and here, you know, May 22nd, 2017, I was able to leave the Air Force, be a full-time entrepreneur, and I really hope I can do it for the rest of my life. And that was just like an amazing, like I didn't really think that was possible, that I could be running businesses on my own like that, especially fairly soon. But I'm just really grateful that that God blessed it, and you know, we all worked hard to make it happen. So
thanks for sharing, Ben. And where should we point people towards online? I know I mentioned productfuel.io. Any other places we should point people towards to find out more about you and what you're doing? Productfuel.io. I can't pronounce it. Productfuel.io would be good. And especially, I didn't mention this, but I'm really interested in becoming potentially an investor in small up and coming innovative brands. So I'd love to connect with innovative brands or inventors, and then also anyone who maybe is an investor and kind of how, you know, they do that, because I'm looking to learn more about this area. So productfuel.io, but then also willowandEverett.com is our high-end kitchen brand, and then CubeFit.com is the healthy office brand. Where should they connect with you if they have interest on productfuel.io, or where should we send people for that? Yeah, there's I think I have a contact form in there. You know, there's several. I think on that one I just put a Gmail one, ben.arneberg@gmail.com. But you can reach me at like ben@willownever.com or add me on LinkedIn. Okay. Ben, I want to be the first one to thank you. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for breaking down all these processes so thoroughly. I really appreciate it. People should check out productfuel.io, Willow and Everett, or CubeFit. It's been awesome. Hey, thanks so much, Jeremy. It's been an honor. Hope to see you at Rising 25. Exactly. Yeah, Rise 25. It sounds awesome. So awesome. I'd love to come. Cool. What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100 grand.